Hello and welcome. I'm Saeed from StoryPlanet.net. Dive right into the essence of the most captivating books without reading them cover to cover. Whether you're on the go, at the gym, or just relaxing at home, we offer you a unique and enriching listening experience. Today, we are exploring the book. So You Want to Talk About Race, a creation by Ijeoma Oluo. So You Want to Talk About Race, 2018, delves into the intricate landscape of racism in the US, addressing issues from police violence to cultural theft and the education to prison cycle. It provides clear guidance on discussing race and combating systemic injustice. Before we delve into these revelations, it's interesting to note that Ijeoma Oluo, a writer and speaker, has contributed on race topics to the New York Times, Elle, The Guardian, and The Washington Post. In 2018, she received the Feminist Humanist Award from the American Humanist Society. With 9 key ideas to unveil, brace yourself for a deep dive into this captivating book. On StoryPlanet.net. To start, the text discusses the pervasive issue of systemic racism in American society and provides guidance on how to discuss it. The text highlights the importance of discussing race and privilege to address oppressive power structures. Author Ijeoma Oluo aims to provide a resource for facilitating effective discussions about race, emphasizing the need for conversations to dismantle white supremacy. Key points include examining privilege for adopting intersectionality, discussing the history of police brutality towards Black and Native Americans, and the necessity of affirmative action. Key idea number 1, racism is deeply embedded in power structures and perpetuated by them. The key points are that racial inequality significantly impacts success in the US. Racism is deeply embedded in power structures. Addressing only class won't resolve racial disparities. Race plays a crucial role in societal issues, and racism is systemic, requiring personal action to dismantle it. Key idea number 2. Uncomfortable conversations about race are crucial for progress to occur. Having uncomfortable conversations about race is necessary for progress. A key message is that these conversations can lead to better understanding and inspire action. The process should involve stating intentions, doing research, checking defensiveness, and not controlling the tone. Conversations may not always go smoothly, but it's essential to learn from them and commit to trying again. Key idea number 3 encourages self-reflection on privilege and the adoption of intersectionality to combat personal contributions to oppression. The key message is to check one's privilege by recognizing and questioning the benefits they receive due to societal advantages, adopting intersectionality to understand how race and gender intersect to shape experiences, and prioritizing perspectives of individuals from diverse backgrounds in social justice efforts to avoid perpetuating oppression. Key idea number 4. Implicit bias influences policing in the US. To bring about change, it is essential to build trust between law enforcement and the community. In the US, implicit bias influences policing, leading to disproportionate abuse of people of color. Historical examples highlight systemic racism targeting Black and Native Americans. Implicit bias affects police actions, perpetuating stereotypes and lack of trust, resulting in deadly consequences. Addressing economic disparities and fostering trust through education and jobs are crucial for real change and justice. Key idea number 5. Affirmative action can help address the effects of historical discrimination. Marginalized individuals like Oluo face significant hurdles to succeed due to historical oppression. Affirmative action, implemented to address racial inequalities, has eroded over time despite persistent discrimination. Affirmative action aims to provide fair representation and opportunities to marginalized groups to mitigate systemic issues like the wage gap, inequitable schooling, and underrepresentation. The goal is equal representation based on local demographics to address social and economic gaps in the US. Key idea number 6. Punitive practices directed at students of color play a significant role in the school-to-prison pipeline. Aham struggled in school due to being misinterpreted and unfairly punished for his energy, leading to social isolation and eventually dropping out. The punitive practices targeting students of color contribute to the school-to-prison pipeline, disproportionately impacting Black and Latinx students. The bias in disciplinary tactics leads to higher rates of suspension and expulsion for students of color. Individuals can address this issue by advocating for fair disciplinary methods and a more inclusive curriculum that supports all students. Key idea number 7. The text highlights that the N-word, cultural appropriation, and microaggressions are all considered tools of oppression. The text discusses the harmful impact of using the N-word, cultural appropriation, and racial microaggressions. It emphasizes that all oppression starts with words, such as the history of the N-word and how it was used to dehumanize Black people. Cultural appropriation occurs when a dominant culture exploits a marginalized one, leading to a power imbalance. Microaggressions, small yet impactful insults, perpetuate racism and can be harmful. It advises to address and reflect on microaggressions, apologize if needed, and educate oneself on why certain actions are offensive. Key idea number 8. Tone policing and model minority. Myth hinder progress towards equality and justice. The text discusses the harmful effects of tone policing and the model minority myth in the fight for racial justice. It argues against dismissing voices based on their tone and highlights the complexities within marginalized communities. The text emphasizes the importance of acknowledging systemic racism and avoiding divisive tactics, such as the model minority stereotype. It stresses the necessity of uncomfortable conversations and collective efforts against white supremacy to promote genuine equality and justice. Key idea number 9. Young people are actively working to challenge and address systemic oppression, advocating for social justice. Oluo reflects on growing up believing racism was outdated, but witnessed how the criminalization of Black and brown people escalated through laws like the 1994 Crime Bill. Young people are challenging systemic oppression, urging individuals to examine and address their own racism. Encourages white individuals to listen, acknowledge privilege, and take concrete anti-racist actions such as voting, supporting POC-owned businesses, and advocating for racial justice in various ways. Emphasizes the urgency to learn and act simultaneously to combat systemic oppression as lives are at stake. In conclusion, the key message emphasizes the importance of talking about race, examining racism, checking privilege, practicing intersectionality, challenging oppressive systems, advocating for diversity, and taking action. The actionable advice encourages engaging with local schools to ensure inclusive education regarding race and history. The text suggests reading Why I'm No Longer Talking to White People About Race by Rini Edo-Lodge, which examines structural racism in Britain. Thank you for listening to this summary. If you enjoyed this exploration, we invite you to discover other fascinating books on storyplanet.net. Don't wait any longer. A multitude of books, stories, and knowledge await you there. See you soon on storyplanet.net.